So I'm going to do a quick garden diary because over the weekend I was talking to Brian and said, I feel like the tomatoes are a lot later than normal. And I was like, oh, wait, let me go back and look at last year's garden diary and see what it was doing at about this time last year. So I did that because that's really the whole reason why I'm doing this. And if like I said, anybody else sees this, I am not a YouTuber. I am just doing this pretty much for myself. And if you come across it and find it handy, well, great. Anyway, so I looked and it's really looking like things like the tomatoes are right on schedule. They're looking pretty good. Things are starting to develop. This mammoth thing, they're finally getting some decent squash. Some of them are not so good. This one's kind of gross. It's got some rot on it. I'll throw that to the chickens in a minute, but the rest of them are doing really good. Anyway, I was wondering about tomatoes because they just didn't look like they were doing much except for this monstrous thing, which we actually measured yesterday, and it's about 8 foot long. That's how long this sucker is creeping. And this is it's like a yellow grape tomato. And we got this just from tomatoes that I think it was 2 years ago from I don't know, Wegmans or something. And I saved seeds because that's what I do. And now this is the second year that I've had these in the garden and this is just a volunteer plant. I mean, and just look at this thing. It's insane. It's like a centiflora, only not. And there are just tomatoes everywhere on it. So this is actually a little bit behind. By this time last year, from my videos, I think by the 4th of July, I was picking tomatoes off of these. But this year, we're a little bit behind, and I think a lot of it has to do with the haze. We just haven't been getting the strength of the sun. Because of the wildfires up in Canada. I think that, and we have had, it seems like a cooler summer. It's now starting to get to where it should be. We're having more days in the 80s and the nights are staying warmer. So these I guess we're a little behind, maybe a week or two behind, but in my videos from last year, I think we were just starting to pick some of the paste tomatoes around the end of July, beginning of August. We were starting to get some. I'm getting a lot of nice peppers. Mind you, these pepper plants, I started most of my pepper plants in the house back in February. So these are already, 4 or 5 month old plants. We've had a lot of rain here recently. Something chewing on them. A lot of rain recently, and oh, there's the culprit. And so they're starting to spring up a little bit more now. But these are just loaded. I did a lot of long cayenne this year. I think there's some anchoros in here. My chickens got in the garden and they knocked around my peppers, so a lot of them didn't even get planted, which is unfortunate. But thankfully the cayennes came along really well because he really wants to make his own hot sauce this year. So I got some green peppers coming along. Anyway, so we're a smidge behind, I think, but not too bad, as long as we keep up with the rain that we've been getting now, because it was a really dry spring, and the heat stays up. I think we'll be okay. I cut the potatoes here back. This is another, I decided to run another test, and because these were just, some of these darn stalks are almost as big around as my finger. They're just crazy. So I cut some of the green back because I did pull a couple of plants, and I mean, there are nice potatoes under there. They look really good. There's no scab or anything on them, so that's, okay. Don't mind my weeds. We had rain, like for 2 weeks, we've gotten decent rain, and then my strawberries got completely overtaken. Monster horseradish here. And Brian's looking forward to trying to pull that up. So yeah, we're coming along. I don't have a lot in the way of my bigger tomatoes, like my slicers. There's really nothing much popping up. These are more those grape tomatoes that I don't even know what kind these are. I lost, kind of lost track. I had everything marked, but then everything got faded. I didn't use the right kind of marking pen, so when the sticks got wet, they kind of lost their markings. These are more purple tomatoes or potatoes, Papa Conchos, I think these are, and these are doing really good. Not as good as the other ones, but that's okay because I don't want all that green. My onions are so-so. I have to do better with the soil. These should be way bigger and better than they are. Like, they should be looking like this one here, but instead they look like that. And I think the deer got in here somehow. The heck did they get in here? Buggers. But I'm having some good luck with my spaghetti squash this year, which I'm super excited about. And these are Moon and Stars melons. I've never grown those. We'll see what happens there. Finally, I have not been able to grow zucchini since I moved to this house. I can go ahead and I could grow the stuff in the arsenic-infested soils of Middleport. Not here, not till this year. So the compost is aged down pretty good. We're starting a maple tree farm, apparently. And I've got some more melons mixed in over here. I'm really not sure what they are because I just started this policy of just throw them in and let them just go. I got tired of trying to start things and plan things, so I just started throwing seeds around, and that's what happened in here. The sweet potatoes are doing really good. Rain got in here the other day and took herself a walk. Crushed my fence because I didn't have the hot wire going yet on top, so no idea what these are. Couldn't even begin to guess. I know there's sunflowers in there and some sort of squash. Who knows? They're kind of mixed into the bottom of the box. These are more, I don't know, squash. This whole row is sweet potatoes and squash. But the sweet potatoes are doing super good. 8-ball zucchini, which these are the cutest dang things, and these are finally growing well this year too, so I'm happy. I only got a couple of them last year and they weren't that great. I think these are pie pumpkins, I want to say. I gotta pull some of these off because I got a lot of male flowers, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of female flowers. But more sweet potatoes, more squash, sunflowers in between just because. I actually saved those for the birds for the winter. So yeah, tons of sweet potatoes, which I'm really excited about. Hopefully they do as well. This I have to weed out. Well, not weed out. I have to get the marigolds moved. This is the low spot that I've got to fill in. I've got a bunch of finished compost over there. I'm going to clean this up, and this is where some of the cauliflower is going to go. I'll put it throughout the garden, but this is where most of it'll go, is right in this row here. There's probably like a 10 by, I don't know, 30 space right here. So that's where that'll go. Oh, look, more hoofprints. This is my Cinderella pumpkins, which are, since we got all that rain, are starting to branch out now. And tomatoes, I got to do a little bit of weeding because it's... But yeah, see, we've got a lot of tomatoes. These are getting some on there. I gotta stake those up. But I mean, these are my Abes. Oh, I got one Abe. One happy little Abe there. Hi, buddy. So we're getting lots of flowers, and we've got pollinators and stuff. I'm gonna have to come back here and maybe do a little hand pollinating with these. There's a bunch of basil and then cucumbers in there too. I just kind of intercropped them because I had a nice space in here. So there's basil and cucumbers in the middle, and then there's, I don't remember, some kind of squash on the outside. I got a weed whack over here, and then it can go and creep along. But yeah, so these are my Abes, and they're getting tons and tons of flowers on them. I've probably got about a 30-foot row, 30-foot row. And there's lots of flowers, but I mean, that looks like the only tomato so far. So I'm hoping that these are getting, there's been a lot of bees and things up in here. There's, I don't know, a fly or wasp or something on there now. So I'm hoping they get pollinated. I mean, there's tons, again, tons of flowers here. This is a red centiflora, and this is supposed to have a ton of little cherry tomatoes on it. Oh, and there's some. There's a few on there somewhere. You know, but these are San Marzanos. The San Marzanos right now are doing the best. I have tons and tons of tomatoes on these. Every plant has at least 5 to 8 tomatoes on them. So these are doing great. So these will be make some salsa out of these. I've got cucumbers down there. So these are doing the best out of everything. There's tons of tomatoes on these. So, are we behind? Yeah, a little bit. Am I worried? No. We still have like 2.5, 3 months left. I mean, it's the 16th, July 16th. Our last frost is, we got almost 3 months left. Our last frost is somewhere around the 1st or 2nd week of October. So we've got plenty of time for all of this to come together. But that's the good thing about keeping a garden diary is you can see where you're at and visually, you know, really get a feel for where you're at. Tomatillos, first time. I've never grown them before, and I'm super excited. I'm hoping I have a lot of them because I really would like to offer them out at the roadside. I got to stake those up. I don't see many people offering those roadside, so, and we do have a lot of folks that come and work at the apple orchards and at the farms around here, so yeah, that would be a nice thing to be able to offer them. So yeah, lots of flowers, and hopefully they all turn into something, and lots of weeds too. But yeah, that's the phone that I